Israeli troops are battling Hamas in the heart of Gaza's second biggest city, Khan Yunis, and claim to have surrounded the home of Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israeli forces are closing in on Sinwar, saying it is, and I quote, a matter of time until we get to him. Now, over 16,000 people in Palestine have been killed since Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. The United Nations says 1.87 million people, that's over 80% of Gaza's population, have been driven from their homes due to Israel's offensive. Joining me this hour are our correspondents Noor Harazin in Gaza and Stephanie Fried in Tel Aviv. Noor, let me start with you. The center of Gaza's second largest city, Khan Yunis, has seen fierce fighting amid Israel's widening offensive. What's the latest on the ground?
Well, as you said, Khan Yunis is the second biggest city here, largest city here in the coastal enclave after northern Gaza, and also is the largest city with the number of residents. We're talking about more than 500,000 people who are residing there. Adding to this, the number, hundreds of thousands of people who fled there from northern Gaza at the beginning of this Israeli war on Gaza. So an estimated number, we are talking about an estimated number of 1 million people who are residing in Khan Yunis who are now fleeing their homes to the unknown. Actually, many of them, they are just fleeing, going to take shelter in the streets. Some of them are taking shelter inside the UN camps that the UN set in Al-Mawasi refugee camp in West Khan Yunis. Some of them are heading to Rafah in southern Gaza. However, they do believe that no place is safe in Gaza. Talking about what is happening on the ground, there is intensive clashes between the Palestinian militant fighters on the ground and Israeli forces, as now the Israeli tanks are surrounding and circling eastern Khan Yunis. They are also taking control of one of the largest and main streets in Khan Yunis, like Al Jalal Street. So apparently what happened in Gaza over the past weeks, the Israeli incursion, how they encircled the Al-Shifa hospital, is now happening again in Khan Yunis, and the Israeli forces are now aiming to reach the Nasser Medical Complex, which is Khan Yunis' biggest and one and only medical complex. Actually, there some of the people who are displaced and went to Al-Nasser hospital, and some also of the journalists who have been there reporting, they are now evacuating the Al-Nasser hospital to Rafah city.
Noor, you mentioned people are fleeing out of Khan Yunis, some towards Rafah, others to undecided destinations amid all of that crisis, all of that chaos. What more can you tell us about their situation, about the humanitarian situation in light of what is going on in Khan Yunis?
I mean, the humanitarian situation here in Gaza have been worsening for weeks now. And of course, we're talking about the Gaza Strip that has been under Israeli blockade for more than 15 years. So the Gaza Strip is already suffering from the lack of so many things like medicine, medical supplies, some kinds of building materials, food and water. And this very harsh war, Israeli war on the Gaza Strip, is also making the Gaza Strip face its worst humanitarian situation in its history. So people are now fleeing to Rafah. People are fleeing to West Khan Yunis, to actually deserts. So they are sitting tents in deserts. There is no infrastructure there. These are the safe places that the IDF talked about. It is just a desert. There is no infrastructure. There is no running water, no electricity, no network. Of course, lack access of water and also food. But Palestinians are forced. They are forced to go there, running for their safety, running for their lives. So at the same time, there is a very slow distribution of humanitarian aid from the NGOs and also from the UNRWA. And the reason why is because of the lack of fuel, and it is not actually safe now to move between those parts of Gaza, from Rafah to Khan Yunis, from Khan Yunis to Middle Gaza. Actually, over the past hours, the Israeli warplanes launched several strikes on main roads here and that are linking Middle Gaza to southern Gaza.
All right, Noor, we appreciate that update from you, Noor Harazian, live in Gaza for us today. Our Stephanie Fried is joining me from Tel Aviv. Stephanie, so Noor didn't talk a lot about a major development, the encirclement of the house of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Do you have maybe a little bit more information on that operation?
Well, absolutely. The Israeli military is focusing on that. Yahya Sinwar is the mastermind behind the attack on Israelis on October 7th. He's the leader of Hamas. He was a former prisoner released in a prisoner exchange deal to get one hostage out of Gaza. And now he's credited, or he's blamed for what happened in Israel, the killing of multiple of over 1,200 Israelis, kidnapping, hostages now, mutilation, et cetera, on October 7th. So yes, the focus right now, that fighting that Noor talked about and that we know and that we're hearing from Israel's military, intense fighting in the Khan Yunis area, not to mention as well in the north, because those are the strongholds, those are the military centers. Yahya Sinwar is not believed to be inside of his house, but he, Mohammed Deif, who is the commander of the militant wing of Hamas, or military wing, and Yahya Sinwar's brother, Mohammed, they're all of three of them are originally from Khan Yunis. They're all believed to be hiding underground. And that is who, beyond knocking out Hamas capability, that's what the Israeli military and the government says, that's who they're after. Those three figures, at least those three figures, not to mention other officers, other commanders. So that fighting continues. What we understand, talking about humanitarian aid, Israel has agreed, based on U.S. pressure, to increase fuel moving into the Gaza Strip. That's basically the U.S. pressuring Israel on that. As well, we're getting reports that rockets were fired out of what were declared as, in the southern zone, humanitarian areas. So rockets fired from those areas into Israel, that would be on Hamas. And again, noting back to Khan Yunis and the fact that these targets, Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed Deif, those three people going back to or being in where they're from, that's very interesting. You see that in warfare sometimes. And I'm reminded of Muammar Gaddafi, who was hiding in his hometown as well when he was eventually found and assassinated.
Yeah, we all know what happened to Gaddafi. Let's see where this latest development will lead us, in this crisis. Stephanie, Israeli police have given permission for a march of 200 Jews through the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem's Old City on Thursday, coinciding with the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, I can tell you that there's a tremendous amount of criticism around that approval, because these are extremists. They're extremist nationalists who are flagrantly marching through the Muslim quarter with the idea of, on the beginning of this holiday, going through and getting eventually to what is the Waqf, which is the Jordanian their appointees to control Al-Aqsa Mosque, Islam's third holiest site in Jerusalem, as well as and all the holy sites that are in that compound. It's a demonstration. It's a demonstration of strength. It's highly provocative, and there's a tremendous amount of criticism. Israel's political opposition leader is asking, why did they get the approval? He's asking that the approval be rescinded, because this is provocation, can lead to trouble, can lead to friction. And so far, in this ongoing campaign with Gaza, more or less, aside from some gallivanting settlers who have run amok somewhat in the West Bank, things have been very quiet with Palestinians in East Jerusalem and the West Bank, and the idea is to keep it that way. And this is not something that would necessarily keep it that way.
All right, Stephanie Fried live in Tel Aviv for us today. Stephanie, thank you so much as always.
Khan Yunis, and it's such a big area. We're talking about 3 neighborhoods that are there, very big neighborhoods, full of residential homes, farms, Bani Sahela, Khuza'a, and Abasan. These are the 3 main areas inside eastern Khan Yunis. Also, most of the Israeli airstrikes and shelling tonight was actually on the city of Khan Yunis. The Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis are talking about hundreds of people that were killed overnight and this early morning. However, due to the Israeli incursion in eastern part of Khan Yunis, some of the paramedics and ambulances cannot even reach the homes that were targeted, cannot even reach the main streets of Khan Yunis to evacuate and pick the bodies of those Palestinians killed in Khan Yunis. But at the same time, there is also attacks in northern Gaza. Here in middle Gaza, where I am standing in Deir al-Balah, I am inside the Shuhada al-Aqsa hospital, and we're seeing tens of bodies of Palestinians that were killed this overnight.
The fighting has intensified between the Israeli army and Hamas in Gaza, but all around Israel, many residents are also worried the conflict will spread. Rocket sirens are frequently heard, warning people to seek shelter. Our reporters Zheng Sunwu and Feng Yilei share their experience.
Tel Aviv is only about 70 kilometers from Gaza, where fighting rages. The city is also within reach of missiles fired by Hamas. Warning sirens go off occasionally because of rockets fired from Gaza. Most of the projectiles are intercepted by the Israeli Iron Dome defense system, but rocket shrapnel does fall down and wound people and cause damage. We are now at one of the schools in Tel Aviv, and it was attacked by one of the rockets fired by Hamas from Gaza on the afternoon of Tuesday, but it caused no casualties. And let's go and see what it looks like now inside the building. So here we are. The ceiling and the roof collapsed. Well, it looks quite dangerous. And also we can see some tiles and metal fixings were shattered by the blasts from the severe impact from the rocket attack. And also, obviously, the building is still in construction repair. And we were told that the rocket was just on the ground, and later it was taken away by policemen. Reporters were at a Tel Aviv hotel when the school was attacked. Sirens went off and we all went to shelters.
So the sirens you can hear it?
No.
You can hear the bombs?
Oh, yeah.
No, you can start hearing them. Wow, it's a massive strike.
So near here?
Yeah, a lot of rockets.
Yeah, we were just in the interview with a spokesperson from the government, and suddenly we heard alarm of the sirens, and now we are here in the shelter. Usually the Iron Dome defense system will intercept that.
Something could be fall on you. So that's the reason they say 10 minutes to be in the shelter.
It's over. It's over. It's over. Thank you. A cell phone application can show where projectiles fired from Gaza may land. It's still difficult to tell where exactly the rockets fall. A local resident whose house and shop were bombed at the beginning of the conflict said the damages were extensive.
In the top of the building, it demolished two apartments. The people run 1 minute before they run with the siren. They run to the stairs to take a hide.
Although rockets are fired and air raid sirens frequently heard, the city and the surrounding areas are still generally safe, as people know the Iron Dome defense system will protect them. CGTN, Tel Aviv, Israel.